looking forward to this.
Utah's white people's Africa.
Well, what does that make Colorado? Because
The playground. All right, we are live on YouTube.
Hey.
Okay. All right, so let me start this recording. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Get Branded series. This is part 2, and we have a very special guest. We have Phoenix Jackson here, who is the pro at branding, marketing. Can I call you a connoisseur? I guess.
Yes. I mean, 16 years in, I'm something after
Exactly.
16 years.
So, I mean, the reason why we put on the Get Branded series, we were going to do it a lot sooner, but the reason why we put on the Get Branded series is because we do have the Black Boss Summit coming up September 10th through the 12th. Not only is that going to be the playground for all, business networking, but it's Black business networking. It's not only for the state of Colorado and the city of Denver. It's going to be a national thing. We have people coming in from all cities, all states in the nation. And what we wanted to do is give people the opportunity to start their branding process in a sense, but understand that branding is important for building your business and scaling your business to the next level. What we wanted to do is give people that opportunity to work with facilitators who have been in the business for long enough, but also understand that reaching back out and helping people with their brands is super important as well. So without any further to do, let's introduce our facilitator for today, Phoenix Jackson. Thank you so much for being with us. Like I said, we want to give people some time. We know that it is, that traveling time and time for people to get into the house. So we want to give people some time to get in here, but we are going to start because we know Phoenix is short on time. So I will turn it over to you.
Hi. Well, first of all, thank you guys for having me. I've been one of the speakers for the Black Boss Initiative or the Black Boss Summit, I think 2 out of the 4 years that they've done it. And I'm really proud of the team there, the Johnson twins, but they're not twins, but Jice and Johnson for, putting this together because it's definitely something that's needed. A lot of initiatives in Black business events are happening siloed across the country. So the more that we can bring people in and actually condense it down to make sure that the information is, first of all, it's practical, it's usable, and that people are understanding what they're doing. And there's like one major aim and one major goal is so beneficial. So I'm so happy for the Black Boss Summit. And people out there, if you have not gotten your tickets, first of all, it's free digital. So what are you waiting for? And if you're in Denver, it's $250 for the weekend, right? For VIP treatment for the whole weekend. It's definitely worth it. I'm actually going to fly in from Houston to attend. And one of my firms is going to be one of the sponsors. So it's really exciting. So guys, if you can, make sure that you are attending that, even if you can just, if your weekend is a little busy, you can pop in and out, just go ahead and get that ticket. It's going to be a lot of valuable information in there. So I'm going to go ahead and take over the screen here and just share. And I'm the kind of facilitator and communicator to where I love it when people chime in, somebody have a question, what may have you, just ask away. I love the engagement. Even when I was a professor, I loved my students communicating with me. I don't want anybody to ever be like, oh, I got to wait till the end. No, you'll forget it. Like you can stop me and let's talk about it right now. So just so you know that, Chris, and anybody else who ends up coming into the class here today. So I'm going to do the screen share onto my second screen. And if you guys see me moving here, I have this big screen over here and I'll be looking for all of us. But can you see this PDF that says the Phoenix Effect? Yep. Okay. Let's see can we widescreen it? No, never mind. I guess that's fine. Okay. So my firm is called The Phoenix Effect. I'll give you guys a brief introduction before we dive in. So I am the Chief Communications Officer and founder of The Phoenix Effect. We've been around for 16 years. And the reason why we call our company Phoenix Effect instead of Effect, a lot of people get confused. You're like, it's cause and effect with an E. And I'm like, yeah, I know that. Well, the word affect means to impact. And that's what we do. We work with systems all the way down to individuals to really change the landscape of what's happening to humans right now. So our firm has our foot in the financial tech sphere. We have our foot in the construction management sphere. We have our foot in the green building sphere. We got our foot into the um, celebrities and athletes and major nonprofits, like all over the world, actually. So our company and clients are based in 9 states on 4 countries on 3 continents, in 4 countries on 3 continents. So we've been really great. We've been able to just, dig in over the last 16 years, weave our way into projects and systems and making sure that we are helping people put their best face forward and also helping them with their accountability to actually be what they want to be to the public. So we've worked with like hospitals, we have contracts with hospitals, city governments, all the way, like I said, to celebrities, politicians, business leaders, and things like that. And it's been really fulfilling because it's just been awesome to see humans try to find solutions to most things, right? And like I mentioned, and we'll talk about this with naming later with your brands, but we're called the Phoenix Effect because, me outside of it, I'll tell you guys how that happened too, where the name, I ended up actually having to have my name in the brand. That was not the original brand, but we tend to bring on people who are impacting other people. So we don't necessarily bring on clients who are like, yeah, I have a t-shirt line. Like, okay, that's cool. But we try to bring on things that are more from a socio-economic or from some kind of social impact, something that's going to push the collective forward. We try to work with individuals who are doing stuff like that, if that makes sense. Like one of our clients just launched, well, not just launched, they have for the last 15 or so years, they have 13 schools in Southern Africa, in Zimbabwe, Rhodesia, and they're they have serviced over 39,000 students, currently serving 7,000. We are the brand leaders and the developers and business developers for that organization, things like that, right? They are making a huge impact. And so we like to leave ourselves into those ways so we can work with those type of humans. It's a part of our brand mission. And we'll talk about brand mission too. All right. So let's talk about something. I'm going to ask, since you're in here, Chris, I'm going to ask you this question. You can answer if you have the answer. What does LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter all have in common?
Access to the world.
Yes, but from a brand perspective, picture all of their logos. What do they all have in common?
LinkedIn, you said Facebook, and what else?
Twitter.
They're all blue?
Yes. Yep. So people have to pause and think like, wait. So they each came out at different times, right? They're not owned by the same firms or anything, but the color blue has a certain connotation to it in branding. And so as we have on this slide, I'm going to talk to you guys about color psychology. I always tell people when they're starting a brand to start with their color first, to start with their intention first. Each color of our rainbow and each color of the spectrum has some type of energetic intention on it. And this is perpetuated in a lot of ancient cultures when you're looking at like the chakra system or the bodily systems. This is perpetuated in Chinese medicine about what colors work with what part of the human organs. I mean, it's an ancient thing, but it translates over to our Western world as well, to where how we, like what we just spoke about, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook, they have the color blue. It's because those particular brands are about communication. So if you are creating a brand, you're creating a business that you want people to trust and that you want people to feel comfortable with communicating with or through, the color blue is the color for that. So one will say, well, how did they figure it out? Why is that? Well, in ancient cultures, the color blue is about the throat area, the throat chakra. It's about communication. It's about speech. So someone in their offices said, hey, we are going to be a mass communication company. We're called the Facebook. They were literally called the Facebook before they changed to Facebook. And we want people to trust what we have to say. We're going to put in the color blue. Someone brought that into the boardroom. And that's what that color denotes. Now, when you think about someone who wanted to have a business that's around beauty and regality and something royal, the color that always comes to mind is the color purple, which is about the highest level of our spirits. So the color purple represents that regality, that richness. People see purple, depending on how you mix it with other colors, it makes people feel like something healing is going on, or there's about to be something that is going to make them more beautiful and more sensual. When you think about the color yellow is all about brightness, elevation, excitement. A lot of food brands use the color yellow, the colors yellow, red, and orange, and they use it also in some combination of the three, and green sometimes too, because yellow also, when people see it, it gets their intestinal and their like solar plexus moving. It makes you actually think about food. So for whatever reason, so that's like a psychological thing as well. It's all, like I said, color psychology. So I want you guys to take some time when you have time to actually look online, look at some different colors, Google color psychology, make a list of maybe the top three colors that resonate with you. And this is one thing for branding as well. When you're creating a business, you need to be your business, meaning your people need to be able to see that company and say, oh, that branding is good. That feels just like him or her, right? You want to make sure that it actually feels authentic to you and it feels like you are connected with it. So as you guys are thinking about the colors of your brand, think about yourself. How does this make me feel? How does this, am I attracted to this color? Am I attracted to the energy of this? What does this color mean? And take some time to Google, because Google knows everything. Take some time to Google and to really look up the options that are out there. You would be surprised. For instance, the color green. Obviously, we know that's the color that's used universally for money, but the color green is also about astuteness, and it makes people feel connected and grounded and secure, thus, the earth being green. And when you add colors like gold into it, or even a navy blue, when people do like green and navy blue, green, gold, and navy blue, those together, it makes people think, oh, this is a law firm or this is a financial management firm. It makes people feel comfortable, like, oh, this person is going to ground my money and make my money grow, right? It's color psychology. So I want you guys to take the time to focus on that, take the time to really think about how you all, want people to feel when they see your brand. That is of the utmost importance. And yes, go ahead.
I have a quick question.
Yes, sir.
And I don't mean to cut you off. When businesses come to you like at an early stage and they have like 3 or 4 or 5 different logos, sometimes like, have you gotten some companies where it's just the brand doesn't, or the color doesn't match the brand, or like what advice do you give them at that early stage? Because sometimes people feel like it's their baby and they don't want to, let go of it. Like, have you had to?
Yes. So what has happened has been people usually come to us and have us create their brand. So I've had a few people come to us with brands already created and we completely revamp it. We look at it and be like, oh my God. And I'll show you some examples of what not to do. I actually pulled some samples for you to look at. Yes, we have had that happen, but I would say 9 times out of 10 people come to us with no brand at all, with the business concept, and we help them formulate the brand to target the audience that they're looking for.
Got it.
Okay. Yeah. And then the people who need a facelift, let's say they have a current brand, but it's not really, like you mentioned earlier a second ago, it's not really reverberating right for them. It's not feeling right, or they, the brand doesn't match the style, et cetera, et cetera. We'll sit and actually go through our brand workshop with them and actually go through our brand questionnaire with them to kind of flesh out and dig down with exactly how we need to make this brand work. A lot of times people who are very creative and people who are good business people and they have like all these good ideas, I call these people the visionaries. They have a hard time fleshing that down and simplifying it to a single brand, right? So we will step in and help them do that and help them figure that piece out. Yep. And like our brand, we actually just did a brand refresh ourselves after some years. We simplified and made this P with the feather. The feather is always on everything. I have a silver statue of a feather. Over here, my background, there's a gold feather, but I have a really big statue of our feather logo. We even give our clients and dignitaries, the Obamas, Oprah, a lot of people have them. We give them a necklace with a feather on it from our company, just as a gift. So the feather is a lot of significance to us. It has certain symbolism that we love, as far as like knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and self-elevation on all levels, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And so the feather is very important to us. So also when people are branding, you guys have to think about too, what symbols are important to you, what makes sense, and how can you guys, like, in a very sly way, sneak that into your design. We use a lot of, we used to have sort of a bronzy color. We switched over to this gold and go in white and black. So sometimes the Phoenix is white, sometimes the Phoenix is black. But we have the gold in there too, to show people that we do have a gold standard in quality and the production of work that we create. And we more so have pegged ourselves as a high-end brand. Most people can't afford to work with us, and we don't want to work with most people, right? We want to work with people who are ready to, like I said, tackle things on a larger social scale. So we have positioned ourselves in our brand to do that. So let's continue going. So also when people are thinking about their brands, they also sometimes forget that in this day and age of social media, that imagery and photography and stylizing their brand is also extremely important. So, you know, we always talk about color, you talk about fonts, you talk about symbols, right? You have to make sure your font is clear. If you're doing script, it still has to be readable. If you are having a tagline needs to be something that actually explains pretty clearly what the business does. You have to make sure that you are very clear about what you're providing. But also when we're creating a brand, we also got to look at the feel and the aesthetic of it. So, and this goes onto your social media and your website. When people go to your brand, how does it feel for them? Does it make sense? So here we are, we're looking at this first picture, right? What does that first picture say? I mean, it's kind of clear, but what does that first picture say? Anybody can answer that. Who can see it?
What's that? Checks up? Is that thumbs up, or was it the first picture on the branding?
Yep. So that first one is of a man. It looks like he's voting or he's dropping something inside of a box, right?
Yeah.
So whoever created this piece of photography, this was actually for a political campaign. They wanted people to feel comfortable with voting, coming straight from work, dropping your ballot in. You have students behind him or people behind him walking in the park. So it's like basically come as you are to vote and, you know, place your census ballot, whatever. So that's what that was trying to say. The second image is a little bit tougher, but let's talk about this one. What do you think about this beautiful soul here? What do you think this image is saying?
Tobacco.
Do you think that would be a tobacco ad though? Think about how they do tobacco ads. Do you think that would actually be a tobacco ad?
Not really, but I mean, that's just what I got
Uh,
from it.
Right.
yeah. I think I see a woman in charge, woman of enterprise, no matter where you are in the world.
Yep. So this type of image would be used for an ad going to an exotic island or going to somewhere exotic. Like here, these are what some of the indigenous or locals. I was mixing indigenous and locals, indigenous or locals look like in Cuba or Dominican Republic. And you know, come here, you can relax, your hair tied up. She has on her jewelry, you know, her nails are clean. She's smoking whatever she has in that in that roller paper. We don't know if it's tobacco, we don't know if it's, you know, but it's like, it's basically saying she's a quintessential mother. You're welcome here, right? So this is what this type of image would be used for in an ad. So as you guys are also running your social media, creating your website, you guys have to think about what are these images saying? What do we want people to feel? You see how you guys got different feelings from these different images? You don't want to confuse your audience. You want to make it as clear as possible about what they're supposed to be feeling when they see your images, your colors, everything. Okay, now this last one. What do you guys think about that one? This was a little bit tougher.
I don't know. I'm getting music video vibes.
I can see that. Kevin Lee or Simone.
Yeah, I got nothing.
He said, I got nothing. So this was actually used for like a online app that was for lonely people or people who were dealing with depression and perpetual loneliness. They needed someone to talk to, they needed a therapist. This was the image for that. I can totally see how this can be fashion, rap, music video type of image, basically because of the grungy film or filter that they have over the picture. But this was about a man walking alone, and it's gray outside, meaning his depression. They are, there's no sunshine and rainbows in this picture. There's not a lot of color. Color denotes life. And so this was actually used to, let people know that, hey, you're not walking alone and we're here to help, da 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 da. But you see how those things, like even how you filter your images, the type of lighting you use, all of that affects people's perception. It definitely affects people's perception. So make sure you all are careful about that. And also, let's talk about something else that I can actually show you all on this presentation. So you all see how I have, I'm going to highlight it here. You see how my name, it's under, I call these like Centaurian fonts or older fonts with legs. See how the A has a leg that underneath little, those are like what we call legs in design. This type of font always makes people feel like your brand is more established. So when people see that, it triggers Times New Roman, which is what we all of us here were taught to type in middle school, high school, everything in the 80s and 90s. So it triggers people's mind of establishment. Fonts that do not have, like what I have in the word introduction, fonts that do not have legs will denote more of a modern vibe. So if you're dealing with something with money, people love this font. And older people love that font. If you're dealing with younger people, in all walks, you want to use fonts that look a little bit more modern, and you want to use fonts that are like clear to read and people are not like squinting their eye trying to see it. So that's one thing in brand as well, making sure your fonts are really on point. And if you're using script, let's say you're using a script font, making sure that your font is, even though it's a script, and sometimes you can get away with script, it has to be legible. People have to be able to read it. They have to be able to do a quick glance and say, oh, that's such and such. Because if I need to remind you all this, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but they're not teaching the kids how to write in cursive anymore.
At all.
So you got, 25 and under they're not used to seeing cursive. So you putting your, cursive in your brands may not be suitable for you.
Phoenix, what amount of companies do you tell to use black and white? Like I've been told that, certain companies, just depending on, what industry you're in, that like just to stay away from black and white. Is that something that you would tell a new company, or is that something that it just depends?
No, I wouldn't tell people to stay away from black and white. Black and white is the combination of the two is very modern, it's very clean, and a lot of people, especially the newer generation, I would say young millennials and Gen Zers, they gravitate towards that simple minimalistic style. Actually, and it's funny you bring this up because my project manager, we're revamping our social to simplify to black, white, and gold for the new brand refresh that we're doing. And we're going to have a lot of black and white. Even like if I move my head, you see this painting on my wall, it's black and white. I have art all through my office and I call it the boom boom room across the hall. There's like an adult only living room. Everything's black and white and gold. So it's that black and white is actually a very simplistic thing. And it's a clear palette to build any type of brand that you want. I wouldn't say stay away from it. I think tech firms would do a really good job in a black and white design space. There's a way to make it elegant, even using it for beauty. If you're using black and white and you have a beauty brand, you can do a black and white and make your packaging look clean with some kind of swirls or, little emblems and styles on it that are black and white. Like, yeah, there's way you can do anything with black and white. I would never tell people to just steer clear of it, unless like if you're in the financial planning arena, you definitely don't. You want to do colors that would be more suitable for that arena. But I would say black and white can go anywhere. Any other
Guys,
questions? Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, guys, Phoenix is just, she wants you guys to ask questions. Please share with your network. This is live on YouTube on CTN Media's page as well. I know there's still more people coming in as we speak on YouTube and everything else. So, if you have any questions for Phoenix related to your brand, a brand or a company that you're working with, if you want to give a great idea to some of your bosses or whatever the case may be, please ask. Phoenix has been in the industry for a long time. So, she definitely understands.
Yes, thank you, thank you.
Mhm.
So we're gonna go on to the current trends. So let's talk about some current trends that are happening. Let's start with this first one. So this is a brand, One Colorado. It's a rural organization. I believe they're a political PAC. So obviously they're blue, so that denotes trust, communication. They're also liberals because blue is for the liberals, red. Crips are liberals, Bloods are no, just joking. So yes, this is One Colorado. And as you guys can see, this brand looks just like, I think we all can agree that it looks just like simple, holistic, One Colorado, like under one umbrella. I don't know if you guys can see my cursor, but this heel over Colorado denotes that they're protecting all of Colorado. And so that is what their actual brand and mission and everything is about. And what we're seeing now are people doing two-tone colors. Two-tone, that's a trend that's happening now a little bit better, as well as people finding a way to make things in the brand pop out that they wouldn't have done before. So let's say if this O was the same as the rest of these, the same like lighter blue to darker blue gradient, it would still look just as nice. I actually would have preferred it that way, but they chose to pop this out just a little bit more so that people can see the brand and it sticks out more. If you see this on a poster next to it where there's only one color, one was in one color, this would actually pop out more to someone who's just passing by. So you're seeing people do things like that to their logos where they're two-toning it to make it jump out a little bit more, because people have to see a brand about 7 times before it really sticks in their head and sticks in their mind. So I want you guys to keep that in mind too as you are creating your businesses. You got to have at least 7 touch points. I would even argue that it's more than that at this point, because people are so inundated with media and stuff to buy on every single medium in front of them. If they're not getting an email on something, they're receiving social media pings, messages, all of the things. You guys know how it is. So there was a point I would say, yes, it's 7 on average, but I would even say 15. I would double that, because people are just not, their memory is not what it used to be. Some people can't even remember what they had last night. Huh?
15 touch points?
I would say that 15 would
That sounds
be,
about right.
yeah, the best to really be seen out there, and whatever that looks like. So that touch point means that, your business is being seen at this event, and then you're sending out an email, and then people can find you on social media, like whatever way, just keep your brand consistent across every medium at all times. Because people we're being convoluted with so much that it's hard for people to stand out these days.
Yeah. So how
So
do you
this,
counteract? How do you counteract some of those social media platforms that kind of just like deduce the amount of times that you can share things, or even with I find now with Instagram, right? Like you have to add a link tree on there in order for you to put any of your information underneath your name. Like you have to add a link tree. It's the only way.
yeah, unless you just got one link to one thing, right?
Exactly.
And most people don't have just one thing. So, yeah. So I would say that there's no way to really counteract it. What you have to do, and it's a whole nother class that I have about social media engagement. And I'll briefly touch on it a little bit here, but there's a whole nother class about like very inexpensive to free ways to building your brand on Instagram and social media, to where people can, really utilize, your services, and they will actually see you. But there's really no way to counteract that. Social media is a beast. There's algorithms that are like working against the average business leader. It's a pay for play system. It's a pay. I mean, even when you think about, you guys are not in this industry like I am, so you wouldn't know. I look at someone like Kim Kardashian, for instance. I would say probably half of her followers are fake followers. They're not real accounts. But that's for most of the internet. It's a pay to play game. Wow. And it's deeper than what people know. And I could talk, that's a whole nother class. That's a whole nother thing. So, but the average person doesn't know that, right? So they see, 50 million followers. They're like, wow, 50 million followers. Where her followers may be closer to, actually, I would say more than 50. Her actual followers may be closer to like 20 million. I don't know her exact number, if there was 50. Her actual followers may be closer to 20. Things like that, so it's a thing. So there's no real way to counteract that other than being consistent, and you're posting consistent in your hashtag usage, consistent in your presence, in your storytelling, because storytelling and authenticity is what wins over the client. These days, people are not going to buy anything from you unless they just need it. Unless you just come out with something cool and crazy that everybody needs, they'll buy it, right? But really, people need to hear a story. If you are a service-based company, or you are someone that people don't know, you're not a celebrity, or someone people just don't know, they need to know the story behind the brand for them to want to spend their money. Sorry, go ahead, Kevin Lee. I thought you said something. Kevin Lee?
I think he was trying. I think he's breaking out.
Your brand, your business.
Uh-oh.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now. Say it again.
Okay. How soon is too soon before you start putting your brand out there? In my specific example is, I am in the process of starting a trilingual school, primarily for kids in the urban core. Now, I'm about a year to 3 years before I'm ready. Is that too soon to start marketing the school, or should I wait till I get closer to launch date?
So you're 3 years before you're actually going to be in operations.
Correct. So
I would say right now, wait, do you have your brand, your logo, all of those things put together?
I do. Brand, logo,
website.
Yeah.
So what I would do is I would create a pop-up on your website that could gather people's information, and I would go ahead and set up all your social media accounts, set up everything, and yes, start putting out information, teasers. This is the mission. Have quotes by, people that you respect, business leaders, historians, celebrities, whoever, that sort of speaks to the mission of what you guys are doing. And have, post high quality stock photo images of the people you're servicing and looking to service. And if it's just once a week, start building that audience and funnel people to the website where you can capture their information, their name, their email. That way, when you're ready to launch in 3 years, you would have built up a heck of a database that you can now blast people and say, hey guys, we are launched. You guys have been watching us build this up. Like, build the anticipation up until that point. So when it's time to go, you got people, man. What was that saying years ago that somebody said, I don't believe you need more people. Like, you have an ample amount of time to start building up the people. That's what I would do. Okay, so let's go on to let's finish with the current trends. So you guys see this one, Zola Homes. This client, they wanted their home developer, all-girl team of home developers, and they wanted something that looked clean and just kind of modern, that, maybe later on we could take off the whole words of Zola Homes and just have this everywhere, and people know, oh, that's Zola Homes. It's shaped like a home here, as you guys can see. And so that's something that people are looking to find ways to simplify their brand names, so that maybe, let's say there's a poster and there's no room for your name, although there's probably always room for your name. But let's just say that your brand gets so well known that people don't need to see your name. They just see that symbol. People are trying to get to a place where their symbol stands for itself. So like Nike, right? I was gonna sit here and draw the Nike sign. People see Nike. Okay, that's not a Nike sign. That's like a moon. Anyway, people can see the Nike sign. I'm holding it up, and people can um, readily recognize that without ever seeing the word Nike. Right? That's the power of a brand. So their Zola Homes is trying to get to that level over time, specifically here in Texas to do that. So here's another one of a current trend. Women are doing things where they're mixing in script and modern fonts. And here, of course, as well, obviously Lulu's Treasures, you guys are probably like, what's Lulu's Treasures? It's girly soaps and Yanni steams and Yanni pearls and all kind of feminine things. And this brand definitely says feminine. We actually created this brand for her because of her particular audience of women, middle-aged women who are looking to have womb and healthcare, natural well-being and healthcare. And so we were okay with using cursive only because the name is so short. If the name was extremely long, like it was like Lulu Cindas or something, right? We probably wouldn't have used the cursive font, but because it's just Lulu's and it's very simple, we thought it was safe to do so. So shorter names are okay to use when you're doing cursive. And then we have this right here. This logo was actually built not by us, but it was built years ago and they're a client of ours. But this brand people still love it because it basically in its own way, although they cater to families of every race, this here basically says like a family of color because of the hair, right? And that's who they're tailored to mainly in Denver and Aurora, Colorado. So it's just, people love that because it shows a man, woman, child. And a lot of times there's all this focus on the Black family being fractured, right? So them actually having these stick figure family made people feel good about that because they do support marital counseling, family units, all types of things. So does anybody have any question about current trends? And also guys, the simpler the better. The simpler the better. So I'll update this with some recent logos we've done that are like super modern for tech firms too. So the simpler the better. Now let's talk about what not to do really quickly, because this is a no-go.
This is the bread and butter right here. What not to do?
What not to do. So this, you can't even see. Okay. This is Zola Homes. So this was the logo we ended up creating right here, right? But these were other things, other logos that they brought to us that they had gotten created before. And here you don't know, is this an N? Is that an X? You could tell this says homes, but what if someone is like walking past that on a sign? Would they be able to readily read this? And then here, the X and H, it kind of blends in and breaks up. You can't really tell what that is. Also, what are they saying with all of these swirls and this big circle emblem here? And then you have more swirls down here at the base. What are they saying? To me, this logo says like 1655, House Targaryen on my gate of my castle, right? It does not say modern 2020, 2021. I want to go to this person to build or sell or buy my home. I want to go to this agent. This says they don't know what they're doing. And I see so much of us who are still designing stuff because it looks fancy, but and it's our culture where we like the glitz and the golds and the shining. But what some of us have yet to learn is shinier does not mean better. Having your house, for instance, full of rhinestone stuff on your furniture, it actually doesn't show wealth because real wealthy people do not live like that. People who have real money, their house is not super shiny with rhinestone, glitzy stuff. Like that's cheap. That's actually considered to be very cheap. So this would kind of fall in line to that too. It's like, oh, this is so fancy. I love that. And it's like, girl, this looks cheap. So I want you guys to look at things of like what not to do. pay attention to the time period, right? And if that logo does not fit the times, if it looks too busy, there's too much going on, cut it out, simplify it. And when we scroll down here a little bit further, here we have this one too, same thing. This person has the black, the teal, dripping gold. They got the swirls, the verbiage, even the name Touched by Jess Studio 26. That's too much of a name.
Yeah.
It could be just Touched by Jess. And then somewhere it says, hair salon or hair studio, right? Or something to let you know exactly what this is. But this dripping gold, it's just cheap, right? This is like, it's too much, it's too busy. You want a brand, huh?
It looks like a lot. It just looks like so much forced into one.
Yes. You want the type of brand to where if somebody flashes it across a TV screen, folks are like, oh, it's clean.
Mm-hmm.
It's clean and simple as you could possibly make it. And then here's another one. Here they have cursive right here, Roz in cursive, but it's like glitzy purple. And then you have Hairland that's like dark purple, but then there's like a light shining in the back of it, like a picture scenario. And then you have Charlotte in like a shiny purple as well, another font. And they spelt Charlotte on a play of Charlotte, North Carolina. So it's like Charlotte, like we lit. Too much. It's too much going on. It's too much going on.
Look like a strip club sign to me.
Yeah. Let's go to P Valley. Let's go. So yes, it's just too much going on. They should have done, I would have removed the little sparkle in the background, and remove the word raw altogether and just put Hairland Charlotte or Charlotte Hairland and made Charlotte spelt like Charlotte, change the font, put it on top of Hairland, make Charlotte and Hairland the same measurements across the board, making the same width, length, and switch it up a little bit from keeping Hairland that dark purple, but switching Charlotte up to be something else, So yeah, yeah. So these are some samples of like what not to do, guys. Yes, what not to do.
So don't do this, Kevin Lee, when you open up your spot. Don't do this. Any of these, when you open up your school, don't do these.
Man, you got it.
The brands have to translate well to over to products, to shirts, to billboard. Like you want to try to picture your brand and how it's going to look on different products, on, like I said, billboards and signs, TV. You want to, and if you want to put it in your brain under that, guys. And if it looks too busy in your head, it's probably too busy. And if you have more than 3 colors, or trim it down to 2, simplify. Black and white are base colors. You can keep them as base, but then you just want to add one more. You don't want to do shiny. This is 3 different fonts. The purples are all the same except for Hairline, but these are 3 different fonts, 3 different flow, 3 different measurements. This is short. That's centered. That's centered. This is off centered down here. This is horrible. Does anyone have any questions about these before I go on to the next thing? And if by the way, if you guys want me to look at your brands and give you feedback, my email's on the last slide, and you guys can just email me and I'll shoot you back and say, change this, or I would change this. I wouldn't tell you what to do, but I would say, this feels like this, and I think you should change this to this, if there's something to be changed.
You must have just read my mind.
Yeah,
I was thinking the same thing.
I mean, as soon as you said that, I was like, I wonder if she would. Okay.
Yep, I got you. I'll give you a full audit, a brand audit. So really quick, let's talk about social media before we're gone. Like, we got like another 5 minutes, and then I'll open everything up for questions before we're done. But when you guys are putting your brand out there on social media, Sorry. When you guys are putting your brand out there on social media, you guys need to focus on engagement, entertaining, education, or promotion. There's like a 4-post life cycle that I try to tell most companies to follow. I don't follow it myself because I don't always, even my team, we're so busy, we don't always have time to even work on our stuff internally with our social media. We're trying to change that. But with our clients, we help them create that brand story and to focus on the colors, the quotes, the statistics, the imagery, whatever they have going on. We try to focus their brand around that. Some people step out the gate just super like buy my stuff, buy my stuff, and they haven't told the story, they haven't engaged with their future clientele. So people don't know who you are. Like, why should I buy from you? I'm going to go and spend my coins over with this celebrity and help them remain a rich celebrity before I help the common man, right? So making sure that you engage with your audience. And then another tactic for social media is entertainment, so how can you use your brand to entertain? If you're doing something, let's say you have a brand that's like a comedy app, which I actually do have a celebrity who's working with us with his comedy app. One of our tactics for him is like on his social media, we're going to, have people playing some of the game and doing some of the silly prompts on the game. And we're going to entertain the people whom we want to, the people we want to actually buy his app and to spend money on the app. Also, a big thing that people love on social media is education. I know folks are like, education, we love school, man. Once we left school, it was done. But it's like, no, people actually really absorb a lot of their news, good and bad, from social media these days. So let's say you're talking about opening up a school. How can you pull some educational facts of some of the first schools or some of the first schools of color, or how students have been taught, and what's the ratio currently of kids who know how to read at their grade level or not? Like, how can you create graphics that can educate people that other accounts can easily share, which will like literally boost your engagement across the algorithms, but it'll also gain you more followers if people see like, oh, this particular account put out the statistic that such and such and such and such and such and such. Like if I had a midwife business, like you talked about, Chris, your lady, she's midwife, right? I would be sharing statistics of, that Black women are 3 times as much to lose their life, or, our infant mortality rate is this time is much higher. And I would put those statistics out and actually share and have people sharing their story and educating people on like advocacy and like empowering individuals through education. So that's a way. If you become someone in your industry that people know for a certain thing, they would always come back to you for that. All right. And then after you do all those things, then you promote and say, come and spend your hard-earned coins over here. All right.
So
Does anyone?
promotion comes last.
Promotion always comes last.
All right.
Promotion always comes last.
I feel like people try to force they try to promote businesses before they're up and ready, or before they even have legs up underneath them.
Right.
And it's similar to what Kevin Lee first said, like, do I start promoting now? Like, I think, people do that and they kind of mess themselves up in the long run. You know what I mean? Like, they try to promote themselves before, then it looks janky, then it looks cheap, then it looks all these other things.
Yeah. And it's like, it's a long-term game. So you have to build the audience first and get them comfortable and get them know your story and then sell them something. And so I just spoke about that, but these are all good strategies for when like when you don't want to pay for ads and you want to get your stuff seen across all the mediums. These are good strategies. It's the EEEP, and everybody is doing this on some level. Even the biggest celebrities, even if they're taking a picture of themselves in some outfit, that's entertaining for some people. That's someone's form of entertainment, fashion. They're not educating them on anything. They're not really engaging them. They're just entertaining them with an image. All right. So as we wrap up, does anyone have any questions? And this is my information on this slide. So my email is phx@phoenixeffect.com. And you guys can follow me or connect with me on Instagram as well at FlyPhoenixJackson. I'm on there. I'm always sharing stuff. And even we're getting ready to completely revamp our full Phoenix Effect Instagram account. So we'll have tips and tricks and videos. We have all kind of content that we're editing right now that's going to come out. So that will like basically educate on some of this stuff and a lot more. We're going to come out with like the 8 needs for your website that you have to have for an engaging website. We're going to really just break down some core practices for people.
This is your moment, guys. Ask Phoenix your questions now. Because I mean, she is, not to say you're the hardest person to get in contact with, Phoenix, but you might be up there with a few people I know. So go ahead, Simone. I know you got a question.
I do, but I don't. So last week we kind of talked about brand story, and I know a few people have asked about, when is the right time. But when it comes to like the brand development, do you feel like it's best to have a mentor in that space or hire someone in that process? I guess that's my question.
Yes and no. Let's say you don't have a budget to hire someone.
Right.
Your surrounding 5 to 10 closest people, they need to be your judge and jury about the brand. Had somebody looked at that person's brand, they'd be like, why you got the gold dripping down the wall, sis? Like, let those closest to you that you trust, right? Like if someone, don't ask someone who's never had a business, who probably don't know what they're looking at. But if you have somebody who's never had a business, but you trust their design eye, maybe they're good at decorating a house or whatever, right? Like ask them, get 5 to 10 people, write their name down list and forward them over their brand and the colors and stuff you're thinking about and say, guys, I want your opinion on what you think about this. So if you can't afford someone like myself to come in and do all of that, that would be your next best bet.
Okay.
Although for you guys here, y'all just email me your logos or whatever you want me to look at and I'll hook you up. But I'm just saying, like, in the long run, your network would be the people that you want to have look at things. I still have my network who are marketers, they're digital marketers. I still have them look over certain things and say, hey guys, does this user experience on this website make sense? Does this storyline of how we're putting this make sense? Ask the people that you trust. It's free. They can hopefully tell you what you need to hear.
Facts.
Right, that makes sense. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I have a question, and
okay,
and that's only because, like I said, I've had a few different businesses, and I feel like I try to keep, just depending on what industry they're in, I try to keep things kind of very, very simplistic. And I've been told on multiple occasions that sometimes simple can be too simple. Now let's say, like, now I'm trying to get into the transport and the marijuana industry right now, and I feel like the logos that I've been thinking about looking at and everything else, like, it just doesn't scream cannabis industry. Is that the best way to go? Like, are you supposed to feel discreet in that sense, or how would you go about like choosing a logo or choosing some type of design in the cannabis space?
So you said you were thinking about transporting. I think that, well, you have to start here. Who's your end user? Who's spending money with you?
So it's going to be, it's not to consumer. So it's basically from grow farms to actual dispensaries, or from dispensary to store type of thing. Okay.
So in that case, you don't have to have the brand centered around just marijuana and have the leaf on something if you don't want to. Mm-hmm. Your byline, if you're just targeting marijuana leaders, your logo, your byline should denote that. Have your whole brand there, but your byline should be, the number one or marijuana transport, or not that's not, no, don't do that. But you see what I'm saying? Like that's where your purpose should lie in that tagline. But because you're not straight to consumer, you don't need to, if you don't want to, you don't need to have a leaf on there and say everybody like, yeah, this is what we do. You can have the most generic name, long as you're B2B, long as those companies that you're working with, long as they know exactly what you do.
Yeah, because I mean, what I was focusing on more was the transport portion of it. So
Right.
it's called, the Black Owls Transport Services. So at the end of the day, what I was looking at is just more concentrating on the transport portion, because that's what's really going to be the bread and butter.
Right. And it could be like Greenleaf Transport.
Gotcha.
You can even hide it and see how that Greenleaf
Makes sense.
Transport, like it's Greenleaf Transport. It's like, yeah, you can even hide it in that name, right? But if you don't want to go full out, or let's say you want to expand the business beyond marijuana in the future, you can easily choose a name that can be all encompassing.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And if you need help with that, Chris, just shoot me the email, shoot me an email about it.
Got you. Thank you. Anybody else with any questions? I know Phoenix has to take off. She has to go. She has some duties to attend to.
My son's calling me right now, like, I'm ready.
Well, we thank you for, your time. Like I said, I know your time is valuable. We really, really appreciate you for jumping on here. I'm sure people have gotten those gems and jewels. So we really, really appreciate it. And to everyone, we have one more session left. We have Barry Overton that's going to be next week on Tuesday. And, it's going to be super important that, you get to all three of these, because at the end of the day, your brand is you. So thank you again, Phoenix. We really appreciate you.
Thank you. And I hope that was helpful. And you guys shoot me an email if you need me.
All right. Bye, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.